We can go ahead and get started because I think this is a valuable panel, and you guys have some excellent information to share. I will do some introductions, but then I guess you guys can do a further introduction when you get your opportunity to share. We have Derrick Johnson with Fulton County Schools, Victoria Thomas with Muscogee County Schools, Steve Hahn with Columbia County Schools, and joining us in just a moment will be Nanette Barnes with Richmond County Schools. We will kick it off with, as a matter of fact, I should go in my area. This session is really a district showcase. So we're going to hear some stories about how these districts implemented their IT or networking pathways, and some ideas about what you can do with your IT student body to really engage them and get them involved. And there's Nanette. Waiting for the video to pop up. Well, while she gets her video going, we'll get started with Derrick. Derrick, you want to share us your story with us and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'll share that. I don't have any slides for this presentation. I just have a story basically. And so I would like to, first of all, introduce myself for those of you who just joined the session who wasn't on the last one. I'm the Director of IT Security for Fulton County Schools here in Atlanta. We cover the entire Fulton County, approximately 95,000 schools, 107,000 devices, and 200 IT professionals. You do the math. That's how we're divided up. Our experience prior to the pandemic in 2017, the district IT department realized we could use some additional help because we had already started with our one-to-one program. One-to-one program for middle and high school students, meaning that all middle and high school schools had the opportunity, of course, selecting devices for their students and to use in class as well as from home remotely. So that kind of helped us leading into the pandemic because we had somewhat experience managing devices remotely. However, every year these devices had to come back to be clean, refreshed, new devices. So the district decided to begin what they call an internship program in 2017. So a part of that internship program, they brought in approximately 30 to 40 students. They went through interview processes. Once they interviewed, we spoke to students to see what their interest level were and what areas they would like to work. Well, of course, a lot of your students today want to get into cybersecurity. Well, I only had money for one student, and basically we paid these students minimum wage. During the summer program, it started right after school ended through the end of June, right before, gave them the month of July break before they started back. You had to be at least a junior or higher. You had to have a driver's license so you can get to work. And each year I had an opportunity of hiring one person. Well, the student that I had in 2018 and the student that I had in 2019, both of them are now at the Georgia Tech Research studying cybersecurity. I mean, wonderful students. I mean, hungry, and we learn from them just as much as they learn from us. As I stated earlier in the earlier panel discussion, what you realize that these kids, they're grown up with technology. We know that. What's the term we use? It's their time to shine. And if you want to expand your legacy and your passion of technology, it's our time to grow these youth to be good professionals in this field. And I'll tell you, it just enlightens me when I hear from John down at Georgia Tech how well he's doing. He just sent us an email saying, hey, I got an internship program. And we all know that interns are few and far between right now because a lot of companies have not started back opening up their internship program as of the pandemic. But it benefited us both ways for not only getting some young, youthful help that could teach us what they're doing day to day, and also give us some tips of what the kids are doing to get around our filtering programs too. So we also got the inside scoop on that. And they have got a chance to learn from us. Say, okay, we're going to give you a list of students right here that are using VPN filters to bypass our filter. We want you to block every last one of them. And this is how you do it on the firewall. And disable their account. So it was a great experience. So I just wanted to share that. And I just can't wait till we're able to hire some more students. And hopefully they give you 2 this time.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Can we go next to Muscogee County? Victoria Thomas, would you share with us your experience on how you built your program?
Sure. Happy to be with everybody today. Just a quick introduction of myself. My name is Victoria Thomas, and I am the CTAE Director in Muscogee County School District, and that is Columbus, Georgia. Let's see, I've been in this position as a director for about 6 years, and we pretty much got interested or excited in working with computer science since I got in the position because it was a passion of mine. I was formerly a business and computer science teacher back when business and computer science was one area. Since then, they've kind of split off and you have your distinct business ed and your distinct computer science. But anyway, one of the things I saw in our district because of where we're located, that we needed to have more computer science. Also, if people have paid attention at all to what's been going on in the world, particularly with the pandemic, they should see that computer science is something that's really needed. So one of the first things that we did was try to introduce more pathways. And like you said, we have high school pathways in computer science at large, of course, and then we have middle school as well. As far as IT and networking, we used to have networking. I'm not sure I think that was the official name back then, at only one high school years and years in the past. Now we don't have networking, but we do have some computer science pathways. That's the official name. We have cybersecurity at one of our high schools, and we also have game design as a magnet at one of our high schools as well. 7 of our middle schools also offer computer science. And so how did we get here? Besides me having a passion for it, we applied obviously for everything that we could possibly apply for. Whenever grants became available, we applied for those grants. So we got the CS capacity grant, and we were able to put some teachers through to get their endorsements. And right now we have 3 teachers that are should be finishing up pretty soon. Prior to that, we had another grant that we used to put 2 teachers through. Unfortunately, that group started out with 12 and it dwindled to just 2 teachers that completed. But I think we used Title I grant for that, or Title II for that. So that was able to expand our teacher capacity. Another way that we approached or targeted or tried to get into computer science is that we really expanded our robotics program, because my philosophy was that the younger students they need something tangible to get their hands on, to really understand how coding works, how any of that works, in order to one day get into the conceptual, okay, there is no device per se, but there's software and there's things that are happening, but it's not necessarily making an arm move or something roll across the floor. So in 2 years, we expanded our robotics from 6 teams to 60. And that was because we didn't really have an organized effort for robotics prior to basically CTAE taking it on. So when it was, not to make light or fun of or anything of our academic counterparts, but we're used to CTSOs, like DECA and FBLA. So we had an infrastructure in place where we understand how to support a teacher who is an advisor of an extracurricular group. The academic folks, that's just not as much in their wheelhouse as it was in ours. So we already had kind of like a framework and a structure for how to support that. So we even created our own program of work that kind of mirrors what CTAE teachers have to do as a program of work. So teachers knew exactly what to do kind of month by month in order to get their robotic teams, stood up. So that was how we, I know that's far away from the IT pathway and specifically this panel, but I just want to speak to, you can't just start at the end. You kind of have to think about your whole K through 12 support system or ecosystem to grow up so that these kids, so that they actually are interested in whatever distinct computer science pathway they might want to go into. The other thing that we did that was really significant, two more things I want to mention, is that because of where we're located, I spoke to that briefly a minute ago, we have a company, a major corporation in our town, Total Systems, which is now Global Payments, who partners with us. They offer support for our hour of code. They do job shadowing, and they even had hosted some interns in the past before the pandemic, back when we could be around each other. And one of our huge success stories is we had a student that was actually self-taught mostly. He had like one CTAE, one computer science class before he graduated. He interned, and now he's working full-time for Total Systems Global Payments. So we have that support from that company that helps a lot. And we also were able to host the first CS4GA Summit, I'm proud to say, in 2019. And we had a group of our internal folks participate in the scripts training. I know that some folks are going to be in tomorrow to kind of further develop our K through 12 implementation plan. So that's kind of how, in a nutshell, how we got going with our CS.
Thank you, Victoria. There's a question in the chat for you. Do you teach the foundation courses at the middle grades level in Muscogee?
Yes, we do. Hi, Mr. Childers. He's in Harris County up the road. Yes, we do have the foundations courses in the middle school.
Including that Foundations of Secure Information Systems?
Yes, at Rothschild Middle School. In fact, I should have mentioned that we only have one middle school that kind of is focused in cyber, and that's Rothschild Magnet Academy.
But they've been doing that for
They've been doing that. They've been interested in cyber before there was middle school courses for it, because they have been participating in the Cyber Patriot for many years because of a really awesome teacher we have there, Ebony Cutt. So I'll go ahead and say her name so she can get some credit for that.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
All right, if you guys have any other questions, put them in the chat, and we will move on to Steve Hahn. Steve, you want to tell us about your journey and your experience?
Certainly. I'm Steve Hahn. I want to go back and do a little introduction of myself. Before I became a teacher, I was in the military for 23 years, so I'm coming in from a non-traditional sort of position, and I had worked at the National Security Agency for a number of years as a military intelligence analyst, and I graduated from what is now called the National Intelligence College. Back then it was the Joint Military Intelligence College in DC. So when I came into teaching, oddly enough, I started off as an English teacher, and I was here in Columbia County teaching English for a number of years. And it just so happened there's kind of a convergence of things, because I had retired out of Fort Gordon, and our proximity to Fort Gordon here in Columbia County, with all the movement of Cyber Command and things down there, and of course the Georgia Cyber Center being built out, we're well positioned to jump onto the cyber bandwagon, if you will. So our county had leaned forward and started the cyber program at another one of the high schools at Greenbrier first. And it picked up, and there was, of course, a lot of excitement about trying to get, all the high schools in Columbia County involved, which they are now. So all 5 high schools have cybersecurity programs and computer science programs of some sort or another. So we came in about 5 years ago, and like I said, I was teaching English at the time, and they were looking at my school at Evans High School. They wanted to teach part-time. They had enough students to come into the pathway to fill about three classes, and they had put the job opening up there. And of course, no one was really biting at trying to come in here and teach 3 classes part-time in computer science, and at the time digital technology. So I looked at the posting, and I went up and I talked to my principal, and I said, I used to do a lot of things with information assurance and computer intrusion and some of those things during my time in here. I said, I can teach these courses if you're willing to let me, drop out of English. And he was all over it. And after, basically the first year, I I ended up transitioning out of English, and now I'm teaching, cybersecurity and computer science full time here at the high school in CTAE. So as I went through, as an evolution, I kind of picked up, in the beginning, and there were resources out there, but we were all kind of trying to find things. And I quickly got into the Cyber Patriot, and I realized the value of that program. Because it teaches all the things that we want them to know about cybersecurity, and it also gives you a lot of resources that we weren't able to get to. And I know, listening to Mr. Johnson earlier today, he was talking about those different challenges that we have with trying to have a sandbox network or your own cyber range, or just even a hands-on network for the kids to play with. So starting off, that Cyber Patriot was a great opportunity for us to get access to virtual machines and to look at different things and to expose the students to things. And I realized very quickly that the students were really excited about getting in on these challenges. The other thing that was really great for me is I was able to draw from the community and find a lot of people out there that were interested in different areas and places where maybe my knowledge was weak, but I could bring them in afterwards as mentors to help my teams. So we went from that first year where I did 1 or 2 exploratory teams to let's just do 5. And so we maxed out, and we've been doing 5 teams ever since. And last year I had one of the top teams in the nation in the gold division. They came in first in the state round and then second in the national round, which I was really, really excited about. So once I got my foot in the door there, then I was like, well, what else is out there? Because Cyber Patriot only runs about half the year. And you start looking around, and you find all kinds of things are available. There were some things originally that NSA was sponsoring, and I would jump in on that. And it kind of came to where it is this year. And I've now got my kids almost constantly involved in some kind of a competition somewhere. Right now, we're running 2 parallel. One is the Pico Ctf that's being hosted by Carnegie Mellon. It's a 2-week competition, and the kids are learning all these different aspects of computer security, and we start to go into some of the penetration testing things that they're doing there, and the things that they learn. It's all self-motivated. The kids are excited. They can see their names on the scoreboard. They can see how they're going through on their national standing, and they absolutely love it. There are times when they sit there and they hate the challenge, and they're like, I don't know what to do next. And we kind of discuss approaches to things without giving them the answers, of course. Another competition that we're involved in right now is National Cyber League. They host both semesters. They host a semester-long challenge, and both Pico and National Cyber League both offer up training sessions. They have all kinds of training things that they can do before the actual competition starts. So both of those are invaluable in the classroom, because I can bring up an example of something and have the kids work on it, even if they're not part of the competition. Pardon me, bad allergies here in Augusta. So I can have them work on something, and we can talk about approaches to how they secure things, or what the computer science principle is that's behind it. Another competition that we're, let me go across here and make sure. Another one that I cannot say enough about is the CyberStart America program. And that is hosted by SANS Institute, and it is all year. And again, they have got a beautiful setup. It's all self-paced. In this COVID environment, it's been a godsend. I can put this out on from all my Learn From Home students. They can all virtually access this. They don't have to have any kind of special software or anything. They can do it from a Mac. They can do it from a Chromebook. They can do it, from whatever their setup is. Some things are obviously better than others, but it doesn't really matter, and it gives them some exposure to be able to do these different things that would have been a real challenge for me in this environment if they weren't able to get into the lab and do things here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause there while I try and take care of my allergies for a second.
Well, we appreciate that, Steve. Yeah, get some water. Nanette, are you still with us? I saw you hopping on and hopping off. I assume you got a lot going on at your school. We might have lost her. She is the other half of that.
Connection issues. I'm not sure because she dropped off a couple of times.
Yeah, she's the other half of that Augusta tandem. Because you have Columbia and you have Richmond, all close to the Cyber Center and the Cyber Command, and very much pushing the cyber agenda. Oh, there she is.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm home today. So please, I apologize. This is not my norm when I'm trying to. I'm hoping you all can hear me, and if it goes out, I apologize.
All right. Well, go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. My name is Nanette Barnes, and I'm the Director of Career and Technical Ed for the Richmond County School District here in Augusta, Georgia. Been in this position for over 12 years. So I was a part of the original team that actually wrote the cybersecurity pathway for the state of Georgia. Myself, along with Julie Kinney, who now works for DOE. She was the CTAE director at the time in Columbia County. So when they were talking about the cyber command and things of that nature, they came to the school district and said, we need you all to get together and write.
We're losing some audio now, Nanette.
Hopefully it'll come back.
It was a great start too. Hey,
You ain't joking. she got a wealth of experience in this.
I see out there in the chat that Steve Childers was talking about the Girls Go Cyber Start, which was, we got in on board with that. That's probably the reason why Eric Toller asked me to come in, because originally when I jumped in on that one, they were offering a lot of money just for participation. And I saw it as a great way for me to bring, diversity, particularly girls, into the classroom, because that's initially one of the big challenges. And I'm sure you see this around the state, is that, it attracts boys a lot of times, the cybersecurity pathway and things like that. But the girls, that was a great program to get the girls in here. And they have been wonderful. I don't want to talk too much, but I'm very proud, and I continue to have a bunch of girls teams. I have an all-girls team that I run every year for Cyber Patriot as well. And it's a great way to get them in. All right, hey, Nanette.
You're going without me. I truly apologize. But basically, like I said, we've written the curriculum together. We have a partnership with the college. So our students do basically 2 years with us at our technical career magnet school, and then they move over to the Augusta Tech side. We have what we call a Cybersecurity Academy of Excellence, and it's located on the campus of our technical career magnet school. We have about 7 Cyber Patriot teams that we're working with. We're currently in a partnership with our private school sector here in Augusta with robotics. And so we're incorporating our cyber teachers and our cyber students in that project as well. Looking to do something in the area this coming fall with that. But we have students that come from all over our district that come to our Cyber Academy. We have a little over 100 students that participate in this particular program. And our students do take their classes with Augusta Tech at the actual Georgia Cyber Center downtown in Augusta.
Nice to hear. So we heard a lot about the games, and that being a hook to get students into the cyber field. I was also very interested, Steve, when Go Cyber Girls came out, because one of the challenges that we have, and one of the reasons for this particular event, is that it tends to be a boy heavy or ethnic majority heavy or urban heavy situation. So I'm always glad to hear it because, Augusta tends to lead, Augusta and Columbus really tend to lead the state in regards to students that are taking cyber networking or involved in those courses, those pathways, in the IT pathways. What are some other recruiting techniques other than the Go Cyber Girls that you all have used to encourage student interest, to help develop that student interest?
You want me to go, Steve? Go.
Go ahead, whoever wants to jump in.
Okay. So in Richmond County, we literally go to all of our middle schools and recruit that way. Of course, we try to market on our website, things of that nature. But it's basically more so of just a grassroots type of recruitment. We just go to the schools, talk to the kids, talk to the teachers to recommend students that they identify that might be that unique student. Because they take that first course, what we do in Richmond County also, we offer an unofficial fourth course. So when they take the IDT course first, then our students have to take networking second before we take them into the other two cyber courses. When we wrote the curriculum, remember I said earlier, it was something we had to do quick, fast, and in a hurry. So we didn't do a lot of research. And we had to go with what we could go with, and because you have to vet it and do all of those type of things, that's lengthy. And the powers that be here said we want this sooner than later. So it was just a lot of jumping through a lot of red tape. So it was easier to start with that first course that was already original, and then add the cyber advanced and cyber and beginner cyber courses. So as we've been teaching it, the experts that come in and actually teach for us say, no, they need some networking before they do this. So we unofficially make our students take networking before they go into the two actual cyber classes. And we feel that they have better success with the cyber courses going into networking. We've had students that have been employed by Unisys. We had 2 students that were employed by them 2 years ago as seniors in high school. NSA has picked up a couple of our students as well and hired them while they were actually still working, going to school. So we found out that the networking piece does make a difference when we do that. But the recruiting basically is us just grassroots going into the middle schools and talking to the teachers as well as the students to get that interest.
Can I say something here, Bryan? Because Nanette really hit on something key there that I've seen. Even with cyber professionals, I've met cyber professionals that really don't understand how to troubleshoot IP and networks. Mm-hmm. And you're right, that is a key, because I don't care if you're supporting a infrastructure, your on-prem infrastructure, cloud. If you don't understand the IP structure and how to troubleshoot the layer 1, 2, 3 up, you're not going to get anywhere. It is it really helps. And I struggle when I meet a person who say, hey, I'm a cybersecurity expert. Mm-hmm. But then again, I started asking myself, okay, do me a favor. I'm going to draw a diagram here for you. And I need you to show me, based on that diagram, how you would contain an outbreak. And they just look at me like deer in the headlights. I'm like, okay, all right. You got to have a foundation. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate what you did there from the beginning, Nanette. But I'd say my exact, problem in the classroom is following the initial structure. I find that at the beginning of the year, I start teaching them some fundamentals of networking before we do anything else, for the exact same reason, because they're just lost otherwise on everything else. So I was going to say, from our standpoint, as far as the recruiting goes, success breeds success. So one of the best things that happened to me is I had early on in the course, I only had I think 3 or 4 girls in all of the 90 students that I had, but they were all really interested in it. And one of them actually went through and made it all the way and got her Security Plus certificate and is pursuing. So that worked out really well. And then I asked her to then go out and find more people like you, and I mean, because then you tap into their friends, and I have gotten a much more eclectic, mix of people now that are coming to the course as opposed to what I used to get. And I'll be honest, I am very big on, when they have open houses or things like that, I pick students that represent diversity rather than that look like me, because they'll come up and look at me, and I make the joke to the students as they're standing there. I'm like, hey, go get the kid that's wearing the Star Wars shirt, or the one that's wearing the Avengers shirt, because he's one of us. But the truth of the matter is that, if they look like me, they're going to come up and they're going to do this. What I want, and I usually let the kids do the talking, is if they look more like them, it's usually more success for me. So that's been probably the biggest and best tool that I've done, other than the fact that, with all the competitions I run, I try and do it exactly like you would do at a sporting event. And so I go out and I post, who our winners are for things, and I kind of, post cheer them on as the scoreboard is going up and things like that. So that it's on par with our, basketball or football stars that people also know they're cyber stars in the schools.
I'd also like to add to that, when we went to visit Huntsville, Alabama, their school district, because they were heavily involved in Cyber Patriots. I think in 3 years they won the national. So we went to visit them as we were doing our research in order to write the actual curriculum. And so the students that we visited, like you all are saying, when we went into the classroom, the teacher herself was, she had retired from banking. She didn't really have an IT background. And basically she was, honestly, like she said, they're teaching me. I'm just kind of here to be the supervisor, because the kids had the knowledge and they were just learning and teaching and learning and teaching. And she was learning as they were going along. Their actual Cyber Patriots team, I think they had maybe about 10 students. All of them were white males, except for one Asian male and one Asian female. And that was their cyber team. When we went in the actual classroom, they had maybe about 25 students, all of the students, white males. I think it was one white female and the two Asian students, and there was one African-American male. And that was the makeup of what they had. So when I talked to the students one-on-one, because we were able to interview them and ask questions and things of that nature. So I said, well, how do you all recruit students? How do you get students that are involved in this? And so most of them said, they get, just like what Stephen said, they get somebody that looks like them, meaning that they're friends, because
she's on a roll again. All right, while we wait for her to come back, Victoria, you have anything to say? Because we have a couple of questions in the chat as well on recruitment.
Our recruiting efforts are, well, let me just back up and say it. In Muscogee County, we have a pretty complex magnet system, and our magnets, unfortunately, with the exception of Spencer High School, that is a computer science magnet, are based on other things. So when we do go into middle schools, we always talk to them about CTAE in general, but the magnet system that we're under hampers a lot of. You can't, if you are a student that's zoned to go to a certain school, and you want to go to Rothschild because they have the cyber is not part of Rothschild's magnet. So you can't go to Rothschild for that reason. So unfortunately that tends to hamper it. But the good thing about the three schools that we have that kind of have the cyber focus, is that Spencer High School is largely African American, so that helps with diversity efforts. Rothschild, the same way, is largely African American. Within the classes, there is diversity, between male and female, which is good to see. We're also very happy. And then Carver High School has cyber, and that's also largely African American. We're fingers crossed in the running for the JRTC cyber program at Hardaway High School, which is a more diverse school racially. So hopefully that will help. The issue, of course, when you talk about JRTC doing it, is that we get back into males again, because we still have largely men or male students in JRTC, although there are females in that. So we'll see how that shakes out. My goal has always been to make sure that we have some kind of computer science in all of our schools. And we're getting there. 7 of our middle schools have some kind of computer science class. 11 of them have robotics. So we're closing in on getting 12 out of 12 to have something. In our high schools, we have a presence of computer science. And of our 9 high schools, we have 1 fine arts high school that does not have it at all because they're a fine arts school. But all the rest of the high schools have at least a class, not necessarily in cyber, but in computer science.
Well, that's actually the next question. So you already got us kicked off. Cliff asked, do all middle schools offer computer science in Richmond and Columbia?
Yeah, and I had dropped.
No, not all of ours.
Yeah, I dropped off to Cliff that Columbia County, they're starting to offer the Intro to Digital Tech, but that's about where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Well, hopefully we're getting there in the next year or so. We got some motivation. So that's pretty good. We got some other questions.
But we do offer, can I say something, Bryan? We do offer Cyber Patriot opportunities, though, for our middle schools to have those teams as well. We just don't necessarily offer the actual computer science courses, but we do offer the Cyber Patriot participation.
I noticed that you guys did run quite a few of your students through that Secure Information Systems course, that middle school Secure Information Systems course in both Columbia and Richmond. So I was impressed by that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Coach Higgy says, Derrick, speaking to the troubleshooting idea, would you rather hire someone that knows all of the lingo or someone with general problem-solving confidence?
I'll take the general problem-solving confidence, hands down. Lingo, as I stated in the chat, the lingo is good for the interview if the people who are interviewed don't really understand it. But you got to have that hands-on mindset of knowing what to look for. And, different situations in our world, it relies on you understanding that end-to-end communication. What I always tell them, you got to understand how that information travels from the end user to the resource, that resource being in your data center, that resource being in the cloud, and vice versa. And being able to think that through, because the problems that you're trying to solve could be anywhere along that path. And also it just helps you be a critical thinker. But lingo, that don't really, it really don't impress me unless you really know what you're doing.
Nice. I think this is a response for you, Nanette. Somebody asked, who runs the Cyber Patriot at those middle schools?
Well, we have an actual IT person that is dedicated to our cyber academy. So that person runs all of our Cyber Patriots, Justin Harrison. So he runs all of our Cyber Patriot teams. He monitors them. He meets with the coaches. He does the PL with them. He does everything. So he works for my actual department, but that's one of his main duties and responsibilities is Cyber Patriots. And I don't know if Stephen mentioned to you all, but we do have the Alliance here in the Augusta area. And the Alliance is an actual committee that was started when we first wrote the curriculum, and it was just Richmond County and Columbia County and Augusta University and Augusta Tech. But then as things grew and grew and grew, they have an actual person, Dr. Tom Clark, that runs the Alliance. So we meet at least once a month with CSRA schools, Columbia County, Thompson, just other the areas, private schools, and persons that actually work in the cyber field, so that we can make sure that we're all abreast of what's taking place in the area. So I said that to say that under the Alliance, we work as also with the Cyber Patriots. They have someone that consults with them with Cyber Patriots, and we also have received an award in our area for Cyber Patriot participation and teams and things of that nature because of the Alliance.
I just wanted to jump in here for a second, if you don't mind. You know, something that we all neglected to mention is, you know, FBLA also has a lot of things that are computer science and cybersecurity related. And, you know, I've got 2 national competitors going up this year. And they don't get their due. But the other part of that's actually, you know, my CTSO for our pathway is legitimately FBLA. So I wanted to make sure we got the plug in for them, for anybody that's considering on, you know, building out their program or anything else. That's another well put together program that you can lean on, that you can do a lot of things with.
And TSA also, Technology Student Association, although you're correct. I mean, business ed and computer science is aligned with FBLA, but there is some components within TSA as well as Skills USA, really, because they have something on, well, not necessarily cyber, but they have something in that area as well.
Nice, yeah. The CTSOs are huge for developing community and identity around these subject areas. The students develop a sense of belonging within CTSOs that they then carry out into the school and attract other folks. I know I've been an advisor for both FBLA and TSA, and that was the biggest recruitment offering for me, was to have those clubs. And the students, I had students wander down the hall and be like, "What's going on in here? Are they playing video games? Are they in there?" Like, so it was a huge recruitment fair because they felt like they had a place to be. And, you know, a lot of them were not the ones that were out there at after school at the football field or in some of the athletic activities. So they found a place to belong, and it was great. And I got a wide variety of students to participate. Let's see, we have about 5 more minutes. If there are any last burning questions, you can throw those in the chat. If not, I don't know if our panelists have some final thoughts they'd like to share, reflections or insights that they want to share with anybody else that's interested in starting a program or looking at the challenges of starting a program. Perhaps, you know, the challenges with convincing your district to move in this direction, to support some of these efforts. Any final thoughts?
I'm just going to say one of the challenging things for us, I guess because I've been an educator for so long, the student piece, the lab piece, the location piece, all of those things seemingly okay. You know, you can work those things out, but it's the teachers themselves. That's the problem for us in our district, is recruiting the right fit. We can find persons that have the certifications, that have worked in the field, those type of things, but then when they come into the educational arena, it's hard for them to relate to students, high school students. It's hard for them to be able to make it enjoyable as well as relatable, because they are expecting, you know, sort of like adults or robotic type people, and our young people are not that way. Or if we find a teacher that says they like to do this, but they don't have the content knowledge, so it's like, oh, okay, this is not working. So I think that is the most challenging part for us, is to find the right fit, to find the right person, because as you all know, anybody working in this profession with the right certifications, education in the public school system is not going to give them the money that they can be making somewhere else. So when you're getting those people, I promise you, like one of our teachers at our Cyber Academy, she works part-time at the Augusta Technical School, and they have been trying to steal her for the last 3 years. And when I tell you, she is awesome. She is phenomenal. And they have been trying to get her full-time with them for the last 3 years. And I just keep saying, you just stay with us just a couple of more years longer. But that's the tough part for us, is finding the right fit for high school students.
Thank you. That's nice.
I have to agree with you, and kind of circles back to my experiences. I knew no one was gonna pick up a part-time job working at a high school teaching intro to digital tech, you know, which gave me the foot in the door to move over. But the flip side of that is if you can find, there are a lot of programs out there like code.org that puts together a great curriculum. As long as you have a good teacher that can implement the curriculum, then you've got part of the way while you get them spun up. The other thing that not to get, I don't want to lose my job, but there are so many things out there that the kids can become self-directed, which is why I've tapped into bringing in people from the field, because that's been my biggest challenge now, is just trying to be current. I left the military going on 14 years ago now, and I'm finding that a lot of the things that are, the change is so fast that it's difficult to stay up. So bringing in that talent from outside and getting people to be guest speakers and things like that really helps.
I'm gonna say, I know we don't have time left, but I put my email address in the chat. If there's anybody who has any specific questions or follow-up questions, just feel free to email me, and I can share what we have to anybody who's interested.
Excellent. All right. I think that will wrap us up. Thank you all tremendously. You have been a wealth of information, and you got some stellar programs to look up to. I'm sure you'll be getting some contacts from other school systems that I direct your way. Again, I appreciate you all coming on and sharing your insights with us.
And I appreciate you guys as well.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a
Thank you
pleasure.
for allowing us to, and I apologize again for my internet, but thanks for allowing me to talk.
No, you had some value in it. Hey, you got it in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So
All right,
our
guys.
next
See you
section,
guys in the next one.
all right. Next section is the IT workforce panel. So that one looks like that's going to be a pretty strong group. So have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Bye now.
See you all in the next panel. Oh, we have a little bit of a break before then too. Is that one?